Beautiful. All right, I think we're rocking and rolling. Let's get you guys up on my iPad here. Make sure that I can hear myself as well as see your guys' questions as they come in. Go here. If it'll open. Nope, doesn't want to. We'll do it this way then. Oh, there it goes. Cool. Also get my notes in front of me. There we are. See how the sound is coming in. Perfect. Cool. I think everyone can hear me well. I see Barbara and Jennifer and Daryl have all popped on. I think a handful of other people are on. Roma's on. Yeah, if you guys are joining me live, feel free to say hi in the comments, give me a wave, thumbs up emoji, whatever you'd like. Would love to see who's joining me. And then if you guys are watching the replay after the fact, type replay in the comments below. We always like seeing who's checking out the videos after the fact, and we monitor the comments and all that kind of stuff. So obviously for those that are watching live, any questions you got, use those comments. Any of the resources that I mentioned, use those comments. Like type away, all the above. Be active. If you guys are watching the replay, use those comments. You can still ask questions, all that good stuff. If we don't address the answer to your question in the video, we'll be happy to either just respond directly to your comment, like on below, or we'll reach out in Facebook Messenger and give you resources and all that great stuff. Let's see here. I just want to get to my notes for today. Yep. Okay. Here we are. Let's see. I think a bunch of people just said hi. What's up, Chris? Good to see you. Glad you joined in on live. I doubt this is your real name, but Ivy Trail Chills. Nice to see you. What's up, Daryl? Brandy, good to see you. I think Jeff popped on. Beautiful. All right, let's get rolling. We're going to be talking about techniques specifically for back pain, back soreness, and just general back tension, like relief ASAP. We're going to go through some practical techniques together on the kind of mobility massage side of the equation. We're also going to talk about the breath a bit and all that good stuff in this call. I do want to address first and foremost, because it wouldn't be appropriate with our group and taking the holistic approach. I wouldn't do right by you guys if I didn't also talk about how to holistically resolve back pain. So in this video, I want to give techniques that you can do real time to help it feel better. But also, I want to talk about how to address this thing long term. These techniques that we're going to do today, combined with the strategies that we're going to talk kind of like on getting the entire body moving well from the ground up to stabilize the spine. This is stuff we in today's announcement post. There's way too many clients to count that we've worked with back pain and injuries from all kinds of different gambits of stuff that they've been dealing with. But like a few that I listed on here, Dave had nerve pain, pretty chronic nerve pain, back spasms around a disc bulge that he had in 3 weeks. Might say 4 weeks, but I think it was about 3 weeks. He was able to take these protocols and these strategies and able to not just relieve his back pain, but get back to almost immediately going on long hikes and bike rides with his wife and doing yard work and moving really, really well. Also getting back to workouts and all that kind of stuff. So this can be real quick for current client Sarah. She's in like month 2 of her program, just finished month 2 of her program. She had 20 years of back pain around a disc fracture and had a microdiscectomy from that. Still had the decades of back pain that limited her in a variety of different ways, not just like in her favorite forms of exercise, but also just like having young kids and keeping up with them and that kind of stuff. And we just had an amazing reassessment, I think a week or 2 ago. And she's like, not only has my back been feeling amazing, but like I'm back to working out and building up strength. And the other day I just was playing around with my kid and I started chasing her around the house. And I like in that moment, I realized like, wow, I actually am getting back to where I was. Like I'm able to run around and play, and like my back is holding up solidly and body feels good. Like this is really cool. That's 2 months into these kinds of protocols and procedures after 20 years of dealing with this. Eric, had scoliosis and a congenital lumbar fusion that affected him in a variety of different ways. And he was able to address these with these same tools, techniques, protocols, get his body moving well. So he's a competitive pitcher in his senior league in baseball. And he also loves playing the drums, and he also loves to run, and he also loves to work out. Like he's just an enthusiast of all these things, all of which were impacted by his back. So these same things helped him resolve these issues in a matter of months, and he's been able to maintain this for now over the last year, like through his baseball season, all that kind of stuff, and feel healthy around it by himself. So that's what we're going to chat about. I did see a couple other people popping on. What's up, Kim? What's up, Roma? What's up, Brandy? You said replay, but you're actually on live. How's it going, June? And hey, Lisa. Cool. Let's jump into this. So, like I said, I'm going to talk about some like first kind of just ground up approach to resolve the root causes of back pain and injuries. I went much more extensively on this in a previous video, previous live stream, which was all about relieving relieving chronic back pain and injuries holistically, and it was all about kind of the high level overview of how to stabilize the entire body. I want to give you guys the clip notes of that right now. And then we'll talk about some other resources too. What's up, Jennifer? How's it going, Kurt? So essentially, the spine itself is probably contrary to most popular belief, is actually stabilized by all of the soft tissues surrounding it. So your muscle tissues, your fascia lines, the connective tissues, that's the scaffolding that holds this spine into alignment or pulls it out of alignment. And often we think of like, I have a bulge, I have a herniation, I have a compression, whatever, like it's a slip disc, yada, yada, yada. When we have those things, we think, all right, well, it is what it is. Like maybe a chiropractor can knock me back into position, but like this is going to impact me forever. My back is always going to be a problem. This hits home for me personally, who dealt with sciatica for 3 years and back spasms and all kinds of stuff. So I understand that thought process all too well. But ultimately, our spine is held in place by soft tissue, just like the rest of our body is. Like our bones do not have support structures without our soft tissue. So if we don't have muscle tissue and fascia lines, if those disappear, we're just a bag of bones in a pile of skin on the ground. So we don't have any structure. So if we have misalignments going on, then we can address the soft tissue imbalances to help us improve our alignment. Now, some of you might say, well, Madison, my injury came from a fall or a car accident, or for me, it was probably a combination of a bunch of football hits, playing high school and college football, but then also lifting far too much weight and incorrectly and that kind of thing, which did me in. And so we have these moments, these acute points, these impacts that throw us out. And it's like, well, that's what threw me off. Well, still, the body is a very resilient machine that's designed to heal from essentially most things. Like 99.9% of stuff we experience, the body is designed to heal. That's probably an understatement. It's 0.999 plus percent. And so if we had an injury, if we had an accident, we had a fall, and it impacted our back, so be it. But that body over time should be able to heal and repair itself. Now, if I have a full like ruptured disc kind of thing, am I going to potentially grow back, that heal back to 100% health of that spine in comparison to before that full disc rupture? Maybe not. Maybe that's not in the cards. But can I get to 90%, 95%? Yeah, most likely, probably. That's very, very likely, and that's from like the most extreme cases, and then some. And if you guys want to hear like a personal story, like Dave, who I mentioned earlier, who was able to resolve his disc bulge and nerve pain and back spasms that he'd been dealing with for a long time, he joined me on our on a Zoom call and did an interview. We have that, like we shared that video in our group here, And the sorry, I'm dismiss my computer wants to lock on it, so I might be doing that a couple of times to make sure that it doesn't go into sleep mode. Anyway, so he shared a story. It was like a 10-minute video, and we shared it in our Facebook group. If you guys missed that, feel free to type "inspire" in the comments below. I'll send you the replay to it. You can hear it from the horse's mouth on what he did and what his body was able to do and all that kind of stuff. You can now. Does that mean his disc bulge is completely gone? No, it's still there, but has he stabilized now his lumbar so that that bulge isn't getting pulled further out of position? And now when he moves, the way his core is functioning, he's actually able to support his spine, so it's not pressing on that nerve further, and he's able to live a comfortable life, and not just comfortable, but fit and active life. So there's a lot of things the body can do. The name of the game, though, for the spine is we need to stabilize it properly, which essentially comes to down to how's the core function. Now, the core, for a lot of people, when we say core, we think of like the rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscles right in front. That's not what I'm referring to when I say core. When I say core, we're talking about not just the 360 degrees around the abdomen itself. That is absolutely a part of the core. But I think of the core as everything from the butt to the shoulders. So I really think the entire torso is what we consider the core. Okay? And that's, guess what? That's where the spine is being held, and then the neck is sitting on top of it. So, like, this entire thing is what we're talking about in terms of core function. So that means that the things that we need to have to happen for our spine to be supported the way that it wants to is you have to have a very functionally strong core, not just like I can do 100 crunches or 100 sit-ups. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about functional core strength. So meaning I have the ability to walk or hike or run for the duration that I want with the core stabilizing me, or I have the ability to sit in a proper position for the length of time with the spine supported. I'm not rounding, or I'm not overextending. I'm not creating extra tension in the spine there. I have postural integrity, so to speak. That's natural. I have that core endurance to stabilize me. I have the functional strength to squat down and pick something up, or get down onto the ground, or balance, or whatever. Like that's what we're talking about in terms of functional strength. I actually shared a number of core exercises, like functional core exercises, in a previous live stream that I did, which I'm not going to recover those now because like this would be too long of a live stream. But if you guys want to see like some more functional core exercise that translate to like daily functional core strength, feel free to type. I think what did I have it in there? I want to make sure that I'm consistent with core strength. Yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer. Feel free to type core strength in the comments below. I'll send you the replay of that. It was all about functional core exercises. And so we're doing a number of exercises that help with the balance and stability of the hips. So feel free to type those down. I think I'm getting, Marion, Ivy Trail, Kurt. I got you guys on the Inspire Roma. I got you guys. Good to see you, Arlena. I'll send you guys Dave's interview. And then you guys, Arlena, Roma, Ivy Trail, yeah, I'll get you guys the core strength replay, all that great stuff. And feel free, if you're watching the replays after the fact, type those down below. We'll monitor the comments and send them to you after the fact. So core strength stability, very, very important. Now, what we need, though, from not just this trunk, but like what impacts the trunk and how symmetrical, how balanced, how harmonious this thing is working, is not just to do with up here. It has to do with what's going on down below. This starts from the ground up. And so the things that we really want to check the box on are, we want to make sure, do we have symmetrical ranges of motion? Relatively. If we got like my left ankle is a smidge tighter than the right, or my left hip in one direction is a smidge tighter than the right. But if we have a little bit of an imbalance, that's not the end of the world. But we want to get like 95+% symmetrical ranges of motion in our ankles and our hips. That's really, really important, because if I have one foot that's really tight and it likes to go like this all the time when I'm walking, and the other foot is normal and that goes straight, Well, that affects how my hips are functioning in subtle ways. And if we're taking 10,000 steps a day, week in and week out, that adds up to a whole lot of asymmetrical torque that's happening on my hips. I'm making this look really ugly, but like these kinds of imbalances that can stem from down at the feet add up to what happens at the hips, which then affect that spinal alignment in subtle ways over time. And then we have the straw that breaks the camel's back, where we go to pick up the laundry basket and we have that little shift too far, and all of a sudden the back gives out on us, or it goes into full blown spasm, or we have a sciatic nerve that gets lit on fire, kind of thing. So we need to make sure that we have symmetrical ranges of motion in both ankles in the ways that it moves. So the ankles move in plantar flexion, where we plant the feet down. They move in dorsiflexion, pulling the feet up. We move in pronation and supination, back and forth. I said that backwards. That one's pronation, that one's supination. We have different angles. This is a multiplanar joint that can go in all kinds of things. Want to have symmetrical ranges of motion. Hips, same thing. We have flexion, we have extension, we have external rotation, we have internal rotation, we have abduction, we have adduction. All these motions we want to have symmetrical from the right and left hand side. If we find that one of these or more is out of whack, one side is much tighter than the other, then we got to address that. That's kind of step one, because it doesn't matter how many exercises we do, if we don't address that imbalance from left to right, then we're not going to do the exercise correctly. So the first thing that we kind of want to check the box on is, let's do the mobility work to whatever's needed in the ankles, whatever's needed in the hips, to get those joints range of motion symmetrical. Once that's the case, now doing our functional exercises, like I mentioned in that core strength video that I referenced, that has these kind of functional core exercises we can do to stabilize this entire thing. That's when these become really appropriate, because now we have the range of motion, the capability of doing them correctly, and we have the symmetry in the body. Now we can strengthen our body up harmoniously again. So that's where we're going to get into a really, really stable place with our spine. Now, I did, on purpose so far, I didn't talk anything about the upper body, which is really important. Many of us have, through the course of our lives in front of computers, in front of our devices, and driving and eating, we have started to cultivate a bit of potentially internal rotation of our shoulders, maybe a little bit of bad posture where we're concaving forward, that kind of thing. This impacts how our core stabilizes, because just like from the ground up, the ankles affect the hips, which affect how the core is aligning us. Well, the big mid back muscles, like our lats and our traps and the traps, like we're talking lower, mid, and upper traps, and the rhomboids, like these big, and there's a bunch of other ones, all these kind of mid back muscles that are sitting behind us there. Those guys, when we turn them on, they run into our core stabilizers. They help this core activate properly. So if we don't have good postural integrity, if we don't have a good balance of range of motion at our shoulder girdle, that can also impact how our core is activating, or lack thereof, and putting more tension on the spine itself. So that's the cliff notes of this, is essentially we need to get our ranges of motion back to where they want to be. So we got to figure out what's tight on the body, and is there a difference between the left and the right hand side? That's important. But what's tight on the body, and where are we off balance? Then we got to get those ranges of motion with right mobility techniques to where we want them to be, so that the body is balanced. And then we can start retraining this functional strength again. And that's what aligns the spine from the ground up, and also from the neck down. And it's what aligns the spine and gets us into a really stable position. All right. So that's the overview of this. Now I want to transition into actual techniques we can do real time right now to help this back feel better a bit. Now, I will say, if you guys are, if you've tuned into other videos, you've heard me say this before, but if you want to have us assist you, me personally assist you on taking a look at your body from head to toe, assessing where any imbalances are coming from, or where there are range of motion deficiencies or strength deficiencies from one side to the other that's impacting your alignment, whether that has to do with your back, or whether it has to do with your knee or your foot or your shoulder, or all the above. Feel free to type ground up down below, and I am super passionate about, for anybody that it's appropriate for, I connect over free video assessments, and we take over, like, connect over video call. We look at how you're walking and sitting and standing and bending and twisting, and do follow-up ranges of motion and strength assessments, all things that you do day to day naturally throughout your life. And then we break that all down together and say, okay, this is how the body's moving. This is why it's doing what it's doing. These are the specific mobility techniques that you need to do. These are the specific exercises you need to do to get this body moving back towards full ranges of stable motion with balance and harmony. And here's a schedule on how you can lay this out, all the above. That's something I'm super passionate about. So if you're interested in that, feel free to type ground up. I'll reach out in Facebook Messenger, and we can touch base and see if that's a good fit for you and all that good stuff. Now, let's talk about some techniques we can do right now to help relieve this back pain. So first thing, you got it, Judy. First thing, what we're going to do is, and I'm going to just touch on this, and then we're going to do some massage techniques, but I would be remiss if I did not mention the importance of diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, so we got to talk about diaphragmatic breathing really quick, and we're going to do some diaphragmatic breathing, a simple diaphragmatic breath exercise that, especially if you're in the middle of a back spasm or some significant back pain, doing this can go a very, very long way, because your diaphragm is, think of it as kind of the lid of your core. So your diaphragm is shaped like this. When we inhale, it contracts by going downward, and it presses from the top down on your core. So if you're using the diaphragm, it's almost like taking a balloon and pressing on it from the top down, and it creates that natural inside out pressure, and the walls of the balloon expand. That's why when we breathe through our diaphragm, if we pay attention to the belly as we inhale, the belly and ribs expand outward, and then as we exhale, they come back in. That's creating a natural internal stabilization of the entire spine. Okay. Now, many of us, we get into a habit of breathing more shallowly through our chest and shoulders. So we take shallower breaths and we breathe more up here. It's a little bit more subtle than what I'm over exaggerating it, but we don't necessarily breathe into the belly and in and around the ribs. So we miss that natural core activation. It also tells the body, it's a subtle signal to it, but it tells it like we're in fight or flight right now. So it guards, it tenses up. So by us breathing into the diaphragm, we, one, allow the core to naturally activate a bit better, but it also tells the body like, hey, we can calm down, let's relax a little bit. So if you're in the midst of a back spasm, okay, you can do this sitting upright, but if you can lay down, that's probably the easiest position to be in. You can lay down with your legs on the ground, or you can lay down with your legs up, whatever is comfortable for you. So you don't want to be in a position that's going to cause you to spasm more so in this moment. If you're just feeling like regular back stiffness and soreness that you deal with day in and day out, then you're probably going to be okay in either of these positions. Just pick one. We're going to have our hand on the chest and one hand on the belly. And we're going to breathe in to first the belly itself, and then we're going to breathe into the chest itself. And we have our hands here so we can feel what is raising up first. So as I take, and we're going to go slow, kind of full deep inhales and exhales with this. So as I take my breath in through my nose, then eventually after my belly fills up, I'm going to keep breathing. I'm going to feel it come into my chest. And then slow, long exhale out, and I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to first let the chest drop down, then the belly. And the ribs going down to the ground. And then repeat that again. Deep breath in to the belly and the ribs. We want to expand this whole thing. Then the chest. Then exhale, relax the chest. Then relax the belly and the ribs. Fully out. Spending just a few minutes doing that in real time can get you from a 6, 7, 8 out of 10 on the pain scale down to a 6, 5, 4 on the pain scale. It doesn't take long, and just that in and of itself can go a long way. Like I said, you can do this seated, although I would say it's a little bit more to offload it. It's a little bit easier to do, and often you can relax the body a little bit more from it. So that's first and foremost. We got to check our breath. If we're breathing shallowly and telling this body we're in fight or flight the whole time, that's not going to help us in that moment. All right. So now let's go into some actual releases that we can do. The first one, cool. I'm getting this. Got it ground up. Good, good, good. Awesome. All right. Just making sure that I'm not missing any um, questions coming in. So the first one we're going to talk about is releasing the hip flexor and the psoas. Then we're going to talk about releasing along the entire, well, the glutes and the whole spine. So we're going to go over a few spots here. Now, I have talked about this psoas and releasing the psoas in other videos before. I'm going to show you guys how to do this with my personal favorite tool, which is a kettlebell. You can use this, though, alternatively with a number of things. So one, if you have a larger ball, so like this is a firmer 5-inch size ball. So this is like a softball, like a women's softball, like women's baseball, softball. That can work. Or if you have a trigger point ball, like a lacrosse ball, a smaller rubber ball, if you can elevate it on something like a yoga block, that can work just as well. But the psoas is your main hip flexor that runs from your inner thigh through to the inside of the hip, through the whole torso, and then it attaches like a gigantic web to every vertebrae in your lower back. This is the longest muscle in the body. And this guy gets very tight on us for a variety of reasons, but by far number one is sitting. Anytime we are in a seated position, from when we were kids in school to adults driving in front of our computers, or even eating like at different times, all these hours add up to this hip flexor getting short and tight. And then when I stand up, it starts pulling on its two connection points, one of them being the lower back to the mid back, and pulls a lot of tension into this thing. It also makes it really difficult when it's tight for my glutes to do what they're supposed to do, which makes it really difficult for my core stabilizers to do what they're supposed to do, because the glutes and the core are supposed to work together. As a matter of fact, I consider them as one and the same. When I say core in general, I think of it as glutes to core. Like I said, I think of it as hips to shoulders. So the glutes are very integral in this. When the hip flexors are super tight, it doesn't allow our glutes to do what they're supposed to do. So hence why we're going to start with releasing these hip flexors. Now, if you don't have any of these tools that I just mentioned, I did show, I think it was in week 2 of our January challenge. We did a 4-week mobility challenge. I think in week 2, I showed how to release it with your own hands. Like you can take your fingers and you can get the inside of your hip bone, and you can basically lay on your back and dig deep into this area. If you guys need that video, let me know. But it's if you have this equipment, like a single trigger point ball and a yoga block, or a larger ball, or a kettlebell, even better. This to me is even better than working with your hands in general. So just to the inside of the hip, we're going to take either one of that ball, place it right to the inside of the hip bone, or I'm going to use my long handle right here, and I'm going to put it again just to the inside of my hip bone here. I don't want to work too much towards I want it pretty close to the hip bone itself, like just inside of it. I don't want to work too much towards the midline. That's where we can get into kind of some lymph nodes that are around there towards the pelvic floor, and like it can get a little dicey around there. So we want to keep it more hugged up, whether it's the ball, whether it's the kettlebell like I'm using, or our hands. We want to keep them close to the inside of that hip bone. Okay? Now we're searching for a hurt so good spot. Now the beauty of the kettlebell that I'm using, this handle, because it's like a good 6 inches long, this thing is working a whole long line of my hip flexor right now. If you're using a smaller trigger point ball, you can explore anywhere from kind of where the hip folds, or you can work your way up, all the way up to the belly button itself. Like this whole region is fair game. And we're trying to let this thing go deep inside. Remember, this psoas is running through the whole torso. So it's running underneath our abdominal wall here. So we got to release through the abdomen for us to get to this thing. So it kind of feels like a gut punch when you get into it. It's a dull ache. Versus if you've ever tried to like roll out your IT band or something like that, it feels pretty dang acute. Like it's right on the surface. You're like, oh, that's intense right there. Well, this one is more dull. It's more deep in here. But first, we want to find that spot, and then we want to try to relax the body into whatever comfortable position we can get into. My computer is about to lock again. Let's click on that. Okay, so we want to relax as best we can, especially the belly itself. Letting that ball or handle or the fingertips relax into this guy. And first thing, we're going to stick with our theme of diaphragmatic breathing. It's really important. So we're going to take a few deep breaths into the belly and into the ribs as I'm here. Nice and slow, nice and long. After I do a couple of those, the way that we can get these tissues to release a little bit faster is by getting some contractions and relaxations going to the area and also some movement to the area because it creates more blood flow. It also kind of tricks the nervous system into releasing tension in the moment. So, how we can do that here is I want to take a deep breath in. And as I'm inhaling, I'm going to just simply push my knee of the hip that I'm releasing. So I'm on my right hip right now. I'm going to push my right knee into the ground. And as I do that, that's going to tighten up my hip flexor. It's also going to lift me off of the ball or the, in my case, kettlebell handle a little bit more. So it's not, I don't have as much pressure on that area in that moment. I'm doing that on purpose. I want that. It's going to feel less painful right then. And I'm tightening the area to get some blood flow to it. I'll hold that for a few seconds. So deep breath in, pushing that knee down into the ground a little bit. Again, I'm taking pressure off. This isn't as intense right now. And then I'm going to exhale, melting back onto this thing. Now I'm relaxing the knee, and now I'm just letting the body sink back into this. Now I can scrub into the area a little bit so I can rock the body up and down. I'm not trying to move off of the spot. I'm more like trying to create a massaging sensation to it. So just like a massage therapist was digging into these areas. That's what I'm trying to do right now. And I'll do that for another breath or two and then rinse and repeat. Do it again. Deep breath in. Push the knee down into the ground. That tightens the area. 3, 2, 1. Exhale, melt onto it. And what we're trying to do is work this area until it goes from whatever pain level it started with. So if it started at a 6 out of 10, or it started at a 7 out of 10 on the pain scale, we want to try to get that to relax a little bit. So we want to try to get it down to a 5 or a 4 or whatever, like it 1, 2, 3 notches down. And normally you're going to notice it happen after one of those contract and then relaxations where you're exhaling and you're melting onto it. That's going to be the moment where you're going to realize, oh, this isn't as painful as when I started. As soon as you realize that, move on to the next hip. That's the goal. I'm going to do the left hip for me really quick because I want to keep this a little bit even, but I'm not going to spend quite as much time on this one. So if you guys are joining me, if you still are working on the original hip, please do. Don't feel like you got to go with me. You can pause the video and keep working the same hip. But otherwise, start off with a couple of deep diaphragmatic breaths. Allowing yourselves to kind of decompress, relax our tensions out of this. Telling the body it's safe that we're here. It hurts, but it's tolerable. I don't want it to be at a 9 or a 10. If it is that, I got to take some weight off of this. I got to adjust and not put as much pressure on it. Now I'm going to do my first contract and relax. Deep breath in. Push that knee into the ground. Lift up off your ball or your kettlebell handle, whatever you're using, and then exhale, melt back onto it. Scrub into it a little bit. Moving up and down. Sometimes on other areas, I recommend moving side to side too, not just up and down. For the hip flexor, again, because we're trying to hug next to the inside of the hip, I just recommend going up and down. Don't necessarily go side to side here. Another deep breath in. Press that knee down. And exhale. Melt onto it. and feel free to keep going if you need to. Like, don't just move on just because I'm moving on here. So that's how we get this psoas to calm down. Super, super, super important. Okay. Next is going to, no problem, Eliza. You can actually probably rewind right now if you need to rewatch the replay since the rain was cutting out. Otherwise, I'll be happy to send you the replay after. Sherry, you got it. And Roma, no problem. I'll send you that actually in tomorrow so you can check out that hand release variation. Perfect. Good, good, good. Ivy Trail, you got it. I'll be reaching out. Cool. Now, we got two more spots that I want to do. Very similar sequences that we're going to hit. First one, we're going to work on the high glute. Okay, this is really good to use with a single like trigger point ball or cross ball or a tennis ball can work if it's firm enough. If you don't have either of those things, I might say any kind of ball, a golf ball could work, or any kind of ball could work with this. Alternatively, you could potentially use a water bottle. It just be a little like just be careful that you're not getting onto the back of the hip bone with it. The water bottle is going to be a little bit broader, so you might hit the SI joint. But we're trying to work here just along the top side of the butt. So if you're the SI joints are the two bony nodes that are on either side of your lower back, those two like dimples that are right in the lower back, right below those, and then off to the sides, the kind of right where the band of the back of your waistband is going to sit. That's what we're trying to hit right here. So I am going to preemptively shake my mouse across the screen so the thing doesn't try to lock out. I don't know why it tries to do that only when I'm on Facebook Lives of recent. Never, my screen never locks otherwise. Anyway, we're going to take that ball. We're going to lay on our back. And we're going to place that ball in that area anywhere from kind of the tailbone, the sacrum, off towards the side. We have like a good 6-inch window that we can work right here. Place it underneath one of them. And then I'm going to kind of get my hips a little bit more towards that side so I have more weight on that ball. Gauge it. If putting all of your weight on that ball is freaking excruciating, then don't put all your weight on it. Keep a little bit of weight off to the other side. That's okay. But if that feels good, great. If it doesn't feel intense enough, you can bring the other leg up, and that will put even more pressure onto this spot. Whatever you want to do. First, like we want to try to label it. Okay, is it a 7 out of 10 right now, 6 out of 10, whatever it is. And we're going to start with our couple of deep breaths right into the belly and ribs. Decompressing the body. After we do that a couple of times, we're going to have one of the side that we're trying to release. So in this case, it's my left side. My left foot is on the ground. And all I'm going to do is take my inhale and press that left foot, that left heel into the ground. That's going to tighten up the glutes. It's kind of like I'm doing a glute bridge. Like that's the general motion that I'm doing. I'm just not actually trying to lift up into a full glute bridge. I'm just doing it a little bit, just a little effort, tightens up the glutes just a little bit. It takes just a little bit of pressure off the ball. It's less painful in that moment. That's what we're looking for. And then we'll exhale and melt onto it. So deep breath in. Press that heel into the ground. Just get a little contraction. Right now, we should have less pressure on the ball. Then exhale. Melt back onto it, sinking your weight back into it. If you had your leg up, feel free to bring it back up. If you had your leg down, leave it there. But now we can scrub a little bit. So I can move my hips side to side. I can shimmy the torso up and down. There is no right or wrong with this. Just get friction. Just get some blood flow to the area. Massage around it. I can create little circles with my hips too. All the above. Also, I can move myself a little bit by lowering the leg and then bringing it back up if I want. That'll also create some extra blood flow to this sticky, tight tissue that we're trying to work through. And then rinse and repeat. Foot planted, deep breath in. Push that foot into the ground. Then exhale, decompress back onto it. Relaxing that tension. Bring the leg up and rinse and repeat. And again, we're trying to do this until we feel that area, oh, it's not as painful as when I started. Now it's a 5 or a 4 or a 3 out of 10. It's not as bad. As soon as you realize that, time to move on to the next side. Now, if you want to hit a second spot, if you want to work like, oh, I want to move that ball a couple inches over and work a new spot, you are allowed to. More than welcome to do more. But otherwise, doing one even can make a difference. So now we hit the other side of the glutes themselves. Side note, if you have pain on one side of your back versus the other, it's tempting to cherry pick and say, oh, my right side of the back is tight, so I'm going to work the right glute. Or when we get into the back releases in a second, it's tempting to say, I'm going to work the right side of the back. Do not do that. Work both sides, both hip flexors, both glutes, both sides of the back. Don't cherry pick, because often there are going to be areas on the non-pain side that are tighter than the pain side. And those tensions on the non-pain side are pulling on you in ways that are causing the back pain on the painful side. So always do this on the left and the right. Now, it's totally normal if one side is less intense than the other, then you don't have to spend as much time. Like if after I go through one or two of these contract and relaxes, which by the way, it's probably about time, deep breath in, push that heel down, engage that glute a little bit, and then exhale, melt onto it, and then start scrubbing into it. If I realize that on one side, oh, it only took one of those rounds or two of those rounds and it's already feeling better, then move on. If the other side, it took 3 or 4 or 5 of those rounds of contract and relax and scrubbing, keep doing it. Like, work to where the body tells you I released the tension, not to time. So it's not like I spent 60 seconds on the left side and then I just moved to 60 seconds on the right. No, do it based off of when your body is willing to actually release that tension. Some of these areas, one side might take 5 minutes to release. The other side might take 60 seconds. But you want to do it based off of when it goes from that hurts, that 7 out of 10 to now it's not as bad. Once you realize it's not as bad, then you've done your job. All right. Feel free to go through the next round if you want. Deep breath in, tighten it, and then exhale, melt onto it. Good, good, good. Keep working it if you need to. Otherwise, the last area that I want to cover, and I want to make sure that I don't have any quick questions here. Cool, all good. Now, the last area, you can do this again with essentially the ball that you had a second ago. You can use that again, that single ball. If, however, you have, this is what's called a peanut. So this is like 2 trigger point balls molded together. A lot of you guys probably have this. If you don't, you can take 2 tennis balls or 2 lacrosse balls or whatever, put them in a sock and tie up the sock, and that'll keep these. Or you can take tape and you can tape them together, and that makes this thing into the shape of a peanut. Okay, this is great for fitting on either side of the spine at the same time, so you can work both the left and the right hand side simultaneously, and you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, again, you can do this with just the ball on one side of the spine and then move it to the other side of the spine. You can do that. It's just this is a little bit more efficient with how to release it. So I want to show you how to use this guy pretty easily, and then I'm going to show one last thing that you can do for just general range of motion with the foam roller, which again is a phenomenal tool for real-time back relief. Not necessarily going to solve the root causes, but it's going to help us feel better in the moment. So the last deep tissue release, and then I'll show you the foam roller technique. We're going to take this ball, and I'm going to start with it above. You could also start from below, but I'm going to start from above at my shoulders here. And actually, you know what? Before I do this, I'm going to do the little mouse swipe so that my computer doesn't lock. I'm also going to tilt you guys down a little bit more towards the ground. Let's do that. I'll get the iPad down on the floor so I can also see your guys' comments. Okay, so taking the ball, placing it in between my shoulder blades, and then I'm laying out on the back. And now from here, and this is where, whether you're dealing with lower back pain, mid back pain, upper back pain, these areas are all interconnected. So when I start getting into this, if I feel intense tension right at the top of my shoulders right here, that's going to be where I got to start. Like, because this tension up here is going to affect what's going all the way down to my sacrum and beyond. So I want to inch my way along this back. So what I like to do is hug myself. So now I kind of splay open the shoulder blades a bit. And now I'm just going to kind of inch myself up, towards the direction of my head. So I'm inching myself up the ground here. This is now allowing the ball to get deeper and deeper and deeper between my shoulder blades. Hopefully you guys can see that if I try to crunch up here. And yeah, you guys can. Cool. And then I can keep working, and I might work my way down to my mid back. I can work my way down to the lower back if I want. I'm just inching along this spine. I'm trying to find any hurt so good tension. Once I found it, and you might find a million spots. So as you explore down the back, pause on any one that is that, oh, that's my 6 out of 10 or my 7 out of 10. Okay. First and foremost, what's the theme of the day? Breathe. Nice deep breaths into the belly and ribs. Doing a couple of those. After we finish these, how we're going to tighten this area of the back is pretty simple. We're going to place our elbows onto the ground, and we're going to inhale and press the elbows into the ground. Now, that's going to naturally engage these back muscles. I also am consciously allowing my chest to lift up a little bit towards the ceiling. I want to take a little pressure off this ball. So it's not as painful, it's not as intense when I'm contracting the tissue. I'm trying to pump blood to it in that moment, but I don't want to apply more pressure to it. So I take my breath in, press the elbows down, let myself lift off the ball. It's not as painful right now because I don't have as much pressure. And then I exhale, melt back onto it, hug myself again, splay those shoulder blades open. Now I can kind of shimmy up and down to get a little bit of a massage effect here. Also, what's really effective is I can look from left to right to change up neck position. I can also move my arms in different positions. Like I can bring one arm overhead and then the other arm overhead. I can bring one arm out to the side and then the other arm out to the side. I can bring the arms down. But typically overhead is going to be where we're going to feel the most limitation. And typically you might find one side, you can get that thumb, that hand all the way down to the ground, no problem. The other side, you might be stuck. You might not be able to get there all the way. Or it might be both. If that's the case, only go to whatever's comfortable for you, but keep working the side that's quote unquote tighter, that one. You might find it can inch its way down a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And rinse and repeat. Bring the arms back down. Deep breath in. Press down into the ground. Lift off the ball a little bit. And then exhale, melt into it. Hug yourself. Hug yourself. Then rock up and down a little bit. Get some massaging into it. Move the head around. Move the shoulders around. Getting blood flow to the area. And we rinse and repeat until you feel that area in the back relax a little bit. And then if you want, work your way down. Now, if you're in the middle of like the back is super sore, you might want to spend like a good 10-15 minutes just inching your way down the whole back and hitting a bunch of spots. If your back is like a general soreness kind of thing and you're just trying to get it to loosen up a little bit, these techniques can all be great. But a little bit of a faster technique you can do for more general blood flow and some self adjustments, so to speak, is something you can do with a foam roller, which many of us have collecting cobwebs in the corner right now. Core strength, you got it. My pleasure, Danny. Yes, please keep these in your back pocket. This will absolutely help as a hairdresser, big time. Cool. All right. So let's get into this broad strokes rolling that we call it. This is fast. This is something you can do in like 30 to 60 seconds, and it's for the entire back itself. If you're in the middle of a back spasm, seize out, that kind of thing, this is probably not going to be doable for you. So this might not be in the cards. But for those of us who's just like, I've had a long day, my back is killing me, that kind of thing, this is something you can do quick. If you want to spend 15 minutes running through the hip flexor releases, the glute releases, the back releases that I just did, that's going to be a little bit more thorough. Don't get me wrong. But this is something that will like give you a lot of bang for your buck in a short period of time. So you get your foam roller. You're going to position it. Actually, Chris, I think I sent this to you earlier. You get your mid back positioned, like along the foam roller. Hug yourself. And now we just start doing some broad strokes rolling along the spine while taking deep diaphragmatic breaths. That's the theme of the day. Deep diaphragmatic breaths into the belly, nice and slow. As I did that, my deep inhale, both like I felt adjustments and pops in my ribs and my back, like just decompressed as I was expanding my ribs and belly with that breath. Now I can also position myself to the side and do the same thing. I can roll out now more the side of the back. And I can even inch my way up and get more to lower back. But if I'm doing this to lower back, I probably want to position my elbow down on the ground here. I know the coffee table is kind of blocking me. Let's inch it. So I might want to get more of my elbow on the ground to support me, because if I get too top heavy, this might be tough. But then I can massage out the side of the lower back too, working into there. That feels good. Then I can position to the other side, roll it along the side of the ribs, deep diaphragmatic breaths. Then I can kind of work my way all the way down into that lower back, and I can kind of just massage up and down on it again, taking those deep diaphragmatic breaths. Again, about 60 seconds of this, finish it off, and you're like, oh, back feels so much looser, so much better blood flow right now. You get some self adjustments in that. It's awesome. So that's an easy one that you guys can have to use whenever you're like I said, not in full back spasm flare up kind of moment, but like just general tightness, soreness. It helps relieve it in the moment. Again, these tools are all part of our toolbox. They don't solve the root causes of what's going on. We need, like, these are helping us on releasing tension and feeling better ASAP. That's an amazing thing. They're helping resolve some of the tensions that are causing our back pain. Like that psoas is probably a big root cause for most of us dealing with back pain. But if there's stuff going on down at the ankles, we got to address that too. If there's stuff going on up at the shoulders and the neck, we got to address that too. It's all interconnected. Not to mention, we need to also address the body on the strength side of the equation, right? Like I can get as many massages in the world as I want, and as great as that feels and as awesome as it is, that doesn't teach me how to walk differently, or how to bend down and pick something up differently, or how to stabilize my spine in a single leg stance, or bending over to grab my laundry or whatever. I need to actually do the functional strength work, like the core strength exercises. Those are some examples, a few examples of, and in that replay video that for anyone who wrote core strength, we'll send you your way. But those are a few examples of exercises you can do, of dozens we can do, that make a huge difference in how our body is actually moving, and teaches this core as hips to shoulders to strengthen the way we want to keep a stable spine. And that's where the root causes are really resolved. So, like I said, if you guys want some like free one-on-one help around this with a free video assessment, like I said, type ground up. I'm happy to connect with you, assuming it's appropriate for you, and we'll connect over a video call, assess out what's going on with the body, take a look at your different ranges of motion, give you a game plan on what specific techniques you need to do for your own body from head to toe, how that looks like on a weekly basis. Here are some videos from our Facebook group you can use to your advantage, all that great stuff. Obviously, this is what my team and I specialize in too. Like my team of physical therapists and orthopedic movement specialists and myself, we work together to help people move back towards full range of stable motion. But these calls are first and foremost value calls. Like I want people to walk away from them with an amazing understanding of how their body moves, why it's doing what it's doing, and give them as many resources as possible to get to their health and fitness and longevity goals. If it happens to be that our team is a good fit for them and they're interested in working with us, great. If not, that's totally fine too. These calls I'm passionate about regardless. So that's what I wanted to cover, everybody. I see the core strength comments. I see the ground up comments. Place the foam roller effective. So the AccuMobility wheel, that's, I think those are the larger wheels that you're referring to there. Is that okay in place of the foam roller? Yes, it is. The thing that I will, from my experience with them, is that it's a little bit dicey leaning to the one side because it's a little bit narrower. So just be careful when you pivot that you don't fall off of the thing, especially since they're a lot higher off the ground. But yes, those can be good. I will say my personal preference is actually the foam roller, because it's since it's smaller in diameter, it's more acute. So it gets into the ribs and each vertebrae a little bit better. And so I find that I have more adjustments on a foam roller versus the larger wheels that you're rolling on is more just like general blood flow and curvature of the spine. You don't feel quite as many adjustments. So it can work. I personally find the foam roller much more effective. So you can try both. See how you like it. Any other questions? My pleasure, Jeffrey. Core strength. You guys got it. Is it okay if you have a hip replacement? Judy, almost entirely yes. If you just had your hip replaced, like within the last month, maybe not so much. Like I'm assuming you're talking about the SOAS release, by the way, or if you're talking about the video assessment, yeah. But again, if it just happened in the last month, that maybe like get deeper into your physical therapy. But in general, yeah, hip replacements for one. That SOAS is super important. That release that we did earlier, very very important. You'll probably love me for having you do that. Might not feel so hot when you're doing it, but afterwards you'll feel like $1,000,000 in that hip. But two, in terms of the video assessment that we do, like we work with clients that have had hip replacements left and right. Like that's something that we help with, and getting your body moving back to balance from head to toe after that. Yeah, so I'd be happy to connect with you on that because I think I saw you mention I think you commented ground up, so I'll be happy to help. Let's see. Any other questions? Good. Nice, Chris. Glad you got into it. Yeah, it's a good one. Um, cool. I think I got to everybody. Beautiful. Nice. Thanks for all the comments, everyone. If you like the video, feel free to hit like. Like I said, if you guys are watching the replay and you want any of the resources that I mentioned, feel free to type them down in the comments. We still monitor them. And outside of that, have a great rest of your week. We will be on next Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel. So it'll be 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern next week. I don't know exactly what our topic's going to be just yet. Well, we'll announce it ahead of time on Monday. I'll put that out there. The following week, the following Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a location-based live stream. So what my wife and I are going to be on our summer vacation. We are going to be in Cabo. And so I am going to actually be doing the topic. Say, I know what my topic is 2 weeks from now. I don't know what my topic is 1 week from now. But I'm going to be talking to you guys about travel. So I'm going to cover. I'm going to show you guys one, what it is that I pack when I travel, and two, the protocols that I follow around flights and long car rides and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to talk about how to reset the body after a long flight or a long car ride and yada, yada, yada. So like I said, I know what 2 Wednesdays is at, but I don't know next Wednesday. The one on 2 Wednesdays is going to be earlier in the day. It's not going to be a normal evening time that we do. I'm going to do it more in the morning because we got stuff to do. We got to enjoy our vacation. So I want to get it done in the morning so that we can go sip margaritas down at the pool. But I'll announce that ahead of time. All righty. Thanks, Danny. I appreciate the encouragement. All right. Have a great night, guys. Talk to you soon.